Every year, millions of seniors walk out of doctors' offices with the wrong diagnosis, and many never know it until it's too late. Why? Because the questions that should have been asked were never spoken. Today, we're uncovering the hidden truth about misdiagnoses in seniors, and Dr. David Harper is here with me to reveal the exact questions that can change everything. Questions that force doctors to slow down, listen, and finally get it right. Dr. Harper, I have to tell you, this one hits close to home. My own father was misdiagnosed twice in his late 60s. First, they told him his fatigue was just normal aging. Later, they brushed off his shortness of breath as anxiety. Turns out it was heart disease, caught late. It makes me wonder, how often is this really happening?
Susan, it happens far more than most people realize. Studies show that seniors are up to 50% more likely to be misdiagnosed than younger patients. One recent review in the Journal of the American Geriatric Society found that misdiagnosis is one of the leading contributors to preventable hospitalizations in older adults. And the tragic part, many of these errors come from assumptions. Doctors assuming symptoms are just old age rather than something treatable.
That breaks my heart because I think of all the seniors out there who just accept what they're told. They walk out thinking, well, this must be my life now. But in reality, something important might have been missed.
Exactly, and that's why conversations like this matter. Misdiagnosis doesn't just steal years, it steals quality of life. And the root cause often isn't that doctors are careless. It's that the right questions aren't asked in the exam room. Seniors often feel rushed, intimidated, or afraid of being a burden, and that silence can be deadly.
Deadly. That's a heavy word, but it's the truth, isn't it? You miss a heart condition, or cancer, or even a simple infection, and suddenly what could have been treated becomes life-threatening.
Yes. Let me share one story. A patient of mine, Ellen, 71, went to her primary care doctor complaining of weight loss and fatigue. He told her it was just stress and maybe a little depression. 6 months later, she was in my office with advanced lymphoma. The clues were there, but because she didn't ask deeper questions, the doctor dismissed it as emotional. And that's the danger. When seniors don't feel empowered to ask, they get labeled instead of investigated.
Oh my goodness. I can almost feel the frustration she must have carried. To think she might have caught it earlier if she had asked the right questions.
That's exactly the point. And here's the good news. We can fix this. Seniors don't need a medical degree to protect themselves. They need the right words. And later in this episode, I'll share 3 essential questions every senior should ask at their next doctor's visit. They're simple but powerful. And once you know them, you'll never sit passively in an exam room again.
I love that promise, because I know our listeners are already asking themselves, what should I be saying? What am I missing? But before we get there, let's dig into the problem. Why are seniors so vulnerable to misdiagnosis in the first place?
That's a great question. There are a few key reasons. First, many senior symptoms overlap. Fatigue could be depression, anemia, thyroid problems, or heart disease. Second, doctors are under enormous time pressure, often only 10 to 15 minutes per patient. And third, age bias. Studies have shown that physicians sometimes unconsciously attribute serious symptoms to just aging. A 2021 Harvard study even found that nearly 40% of older patients' concerns were dismissed too quickly compared to middle-aged patients with the same complaints.
So it's not just in seniors' heads when they feel ignored. It's real. The system is stacked against them in subtle ways.
Exactly. And that's why seniors need strategies. Let me share another piece of data. A study in BMJ Quality and Safety found that up to 1 in 10 hospital admissions for older adults involve some kind of diagnostic error. And of those, nearly half lead to serious harm. So this isn't rare. It's a silent epidemic.
A silent epidemic. That phrase hits me hard. And it makes me think we spend so much time talking about medications, diet, exercise, but maybe the most powerful health tool is simply learning to ask the right question.
That's exactly right. And Susan, here's the hopeful twist. When seniors do ask the right questions, doctors respond differently. They slow down, they explain more, they think twice before making assumptions. In fact, studies show that patients who ask clarifying questions are 30% more likely to receive an accurate diagnosis than those who stay quiet. So the power is real.
That gives me goosebumps because it means seniors don't have to feel powerless. They can change the outcome. But Dr. Harper, I can imagine some of our listeners thinking, well, I don't want to seem difficult or challenge my doctor. How do we overcome that fear?
That's such an important point. Seniors are from a generation that often trusted authority without question. They don't want to offend. But here's what I tell my patients. Your doctor works for you. You are the customer. And good doctors actually respect patients who are engaged. Asking a thoughtful question isn't disrespect, it's collaboration.
I like that. Doctors aren't royalty, they're partners, and we have to remember that.
Exactly. And in just a few minutes, Susan, I'll share the first essential question seniors should bring to every appointment. But before we reveal it, let me set the stage with one more story.
Go ahead.
I once had a patient, George, 79. He went to the ER with chest discomfort. The doctor said it's probably indigestion and sent him home. George didn't ask, what else could it be? A few days later, he had a heart attack. Luckily, he survived. But when I later asked him why he didn't push for more testing, he said, I didn't want to bother the doctor. That one unasked question nearly cost his life.
That's devastating. And yet I know so many people listening have done the same, walked away because they didn't want to be a burden.
Exactly. And that's why we need to equip seniors with the language that makes doctors stop and think. In a moment, I'll share the exact wording that could have changed George's outcome. But before I do, Susan, let me ask you, have you ever felt dismissed in a doctor's office?
Oh, yes, absolutely. There was a time when I complained about persistent fatigue, and the doctor said, well, Susan, you're just getting older. I walked out, but something in me didn't sit right. Later, another physician discovered I had low iron levels. A simple fix. But if I had accepted that first answer, I'd still be dragging myself through every day.
That's the perfect example. It wasn't age, it was anemia. And that's the danger of silence. The wrong label can stick, and the real problem stays untreated.
Okay, Dr. Harper, don't leave us hanging. You promised a specific question. Something seniors can say in the exam room that changes the game. What is it?
Here it is, Susan. If it's not just aging, what else could it be? That one question forces a doctor to expand their thinking, to list alternatives, and to take you seriously. It shifts the frame from dismissal to investigation, and I've seen it save lives.
Wow, that's simple. Powerful, and I can already feel the difference it would make. Instead of accepting, you're inviting the doctor to dig deeper.
Exactly, and in part 2, we'll build on this with 2 more essential questions, one that helps you avoid unnecessary medications, and another that helps you catch hidden conditions before they get worse. Once you know them, you'll never go unprepared to the doctor again.
So, Dr. Harper, you just gave us that first essential question. If it's not just aging, what else could it be? I love how simple but powerful that is. It changes the whole dynamic in the room. But you promised us more. What's the next question seniors need to bring with them?
The second question is this: could this symptom be caused by my medication? It sounds obvious, but it's one of the most overlooked questions in senior healthcare. Why? Because seniors are the most medicated age group in the country. The average senior takes 5 or more prescriptions daily, and side effects are often misdiagnosed as new diseases.
Oh my. I think you just hit a nerve because my neighbor, Janice, 76, takes at least 7 different pills. And she told me once, I don't even know what half of these are for anymore. She complains of dizziness all the time. And now I'm wondering, what if that isn't a new condition, but a side effect?
Exactly. You nailed it, Susan. A landmark study in JAMA Internal Medicine in 2020 found that nearly 1 in 3 hospitalizations of seniors is linked to medication side effects. Yet, instead of recognizing them as drug-related, doctors often label them as new diagnoses. So the cycle continues. For example, blood pressure medications can cause fatigue and dizziness. Antidepressants can cause memory lapses. If you don't ask, could this be my medication, the doctor may miss it.
That's terrifying because it means seniors may be suffering, even hospitalized, from something that could have been fixed by simply adjusting a dose or stopping a drug they no longer need.
That's exactly right. And it's not just about reducing harm. It's about restoring quality of life. I once worked with a patient, Margaret, 82, who had been diagnosed with early dementia. Her family was devastated. But when we looked closer, we saw she was taking 3 medications known to cause confusion. We tapered them under supervision, and guess what? Her memory improved. She didn't have dementia. She was over-medicated.
Oh my goodness, that's a life-changing revelation. To think that a misdiagnosis of dementia could come from a pill bottle.
Yes, and that's why the second question is so vital. Could this be my medication? It forces the doctor to pause and review your prescriptions. And seniors shouldn't be afraid to press further. Do I still need all of these? A 2021 study in the Lancet Healthy Longevity found that when seniors and doctors engaged in what's called deprescribing, intentionally reducing unnecessary medications, patients had fewer falls, fewer ER visits, and reported better energy. It's powerful.
That feels like freedom because so many seniors feel trapped by their pill bottles. They think more pills means more health, when sometimes it's the opposite.
Exactly. And Susan, there's one more essential question every senior needs to ask, and in some ways, it's the most important one of all.
Okay, now you've got me. What is it?
The third question is, what's the worst case if we wait and watch?
That almost sounds backwards. Why would waiting help?
Because seniors are often rushed into procedures or tests that may not be necessary or safe. And many times, the safest course is careful observation. But unless you ask, the doctor might not lay out all the options. That question, what's the worst if we wait, pushes the doctor to weigh risks versus benefits openly. It gives seniors control.
That's fascinating. And it makes me think about my aunt. She was told she needed surgery for a small growth, but she was 85 and terrified of the risks. She asked, "What happens if we wait?" And the specialist admitted the growth was slow and harmless for now. She chose to wait, and here she is, 5 years later, living her life without going through that trauma.
Exactly. That's the power of asking. A 2019 study in the New England Journal of Medicine found that when older adults actively questioned aggressive treatments, many discovered that a less invasive approach worked just as well, and their outcomes, quality of life, independence, were often better. It's not about refusing care, it's about choosing wisely.
So this question protects seniors from unnecessary harm while still keeping the door open for action if needed.
Exactly. And when paired with the first two, if it's not aging, what else could it be? And could this be my medication? You have a framework that covers the biggest traps: dismissal, over-medication, and over-treatment. These 3 questions empower seniors to reclaim their voice.
I feel lighter just hearing them
because so many seniors feel stuck between silence and fear. But these questions, they feel like a map out of that trap.
Yes. And Susan, there's something even deeper here. When seniors ask these questions, they're not just improving their own health, they're also changing how doctors see them. Studies show that engaged patients are treated with more respect and given more time. That's a hidden benefit most people don't realize.
So, by speaking up, seniors aren't just protecting their bodies, they're shaping the relationship. They're teaching the doctor, I'm a partner, not a passive patient.
Exactly. And that shift is priceless.
But Dr. Harper, let me ask you the question I know our listeners are whispering to themselves right now. What if the doctor still doesn't listen? What if they brush off the question, or worse, get irritated?
That's real, Susan. Not every doctor responds well. But here's the truth. If a physician consistently dismisses you, that's a sign to seek a second opinion. And I tell my patients this, your health is not negotiable. If your doctor won't hear you, find one who will. No senior should ever feel trapped in silence.
I want to pause on that because it's so important. Listeners, if you take nothing else from this episode, take this. Your health matters too much to be brushed aside. You deserve to be heard.
Absolutely. And in part 3, Susan, I'd like to share some practical scripts seniors can use, word for word, in the exam room. These scripts make it easier to ask tough questions without feeling confrontational. And once you hear them, you'll never walk into a doctor's visit unprepared again.
That's going to be a game changer because I know so many people listening think, I wouldn't know how to phrase it. Well, Dr. Harper's about to hand you the words. Stay with us. Dr. Harper, before the break, you promised us something I know our listeners are waiting for. Scripts. The exact words seniors can take into the doctor's office so they don't freeze up or feel like they're being too pushy. I think this is where it gets really powerful.
Yes, Susan, because information is one thing, but practice is another. Many seniors know what they should say, but in the moment, nerves take over. That's why I love giving simple scripts. They're respectful, clear, and they work.
All right, let's dive in. What's the first script?
The first one builds on our opening question. Instead of just saying, I'm tired all the time, a senior can say, Doctor, I understand fatigue can be common with age, but I'm concerned this might be something more. Could you help me rule out other possibilities? That phrasing does 3 things. It acknowledges the doctor's perspective, it expresses concern, and it directly requests deeper testing. In studies, patients who frame concerns this way were 40% more likely to receive additional diagnostic workups.
I like that. It feels polite but firm. Like you're not accusing the doctor, but you're also not letting them brush it off.
Exactly. And here's another. When a doctor prescribes or continues medications, instead of nodding, a patient can say, I'm wondering, could any of my symptoms be related to the medications I'm already taking? And if the doctor seems rushed, follow with, could we review whether I still need all of these? I want to be safe. That little phrase, I want to be safe, triggers an instinct in doctors to protect. It reframes the conversation around safety, not inconvenience.
That's brilliant. Because I think a lot of seniors are afraid of sounding like they don't trust their doctor. But what you're saying is by keeping it about safety, it actually strengthens the partnership.
Exactly. And here's the third script for those situations where doctors recommend quick action, like surgery or new treatments. A senior can say, Doctor, I hear your recommendation. Could you tell me what the risks would be if we waited and watched instead? This doesn't reject the advice, it opens the door for a fuller conversation. And many times, Susan, that simple question reveals that waiting is perfectly reasonable. A study in Health Affairs in 2021 showed that when seniors asked about watchful waiting, unnecessary procedures dropped by nearly 25% without worsening outcomes.
That gives me chills because it shows how much power is hidden in a single respectful question. And it makes me think of my father again. If only we had known these words back then, maybe things would have turned out differently.
You're not alone, Susan. I've met so many families who say, if only we had asked. But here's the good news. From this day forward, every senior listening now has the tools to change their future appointments, and even caregivers, children and grandchildren can use these scripts to advocate for their loved ones.
I love that because it's not just seniors listening, it's families. And families can be powerful advocates too.
Absolutely. In fact, studies show that when a caregiver joins the conversation and asks clarifying questions, diagnostic accuracy improves significantly. Doctors are human. They respond to persistence and presence, and these scripts give families a respectful way to be persistent.
Dr. Harper, let me ask you this. For seniors who still feel nervous, who think, I don't want to make waves, how do they find the courage to use these words?
It starts with remembering why you're there. You're not there to be liked. You're there to protect your health, your independence, your years of life. And no good doctor will be offended by thoughtful questions. In fact, the opposite. They'll respect you more. But if a doctor is offended, that's a sign they may not be the right partner for your care.
That's liberating because it flips the fear. Instead of worrying, what if the doctor gets annoyed, you can ask, what if I don't ask and something vital is missed?
Exactly. And Susan, let me leave you with one story. A woman named Gloria, 68, came to me after being told for 2 years that her shortness of breath was just anxiety. Her daughter, a caregiver, asked in one appointment, Doctor, if it's not anxiety, what else could it be? That one question led to testing that discovered early-stage lung disease, treatable. If they hadn't asked, she would have gone undiagnosed until it was too late. Today, Gloria is stable and living fully because of one brave question.
That story makes me want to cry because it shows the stakes. This isn't just about feeling empowered. It's about saving lives.
That's exactly it. Words matter. Questions matter. And seniors deserve to know that.
Friends, you've heard it tonight. You don't have to sit quietly in the exam room. You don't have to accept dismissals. You have the right to ask. You have the right to clarity. And the 3 questions Dr. Harper shared may be the most powerful health tools you'll ever carry. Dr. Harper, thank you for reminding us that healthcare isn't a one-way street. It's a dialogue. And when seniors speak up, the outcome changes.
My pleasure, Susan, and I hope everyone listening takes these words to heart.
Until then, ask boldly, live fully, and remember, you are your own best advocate.